Okay, where to start? I'm overwhelmed. Okay. With medicinal plants, I cannot give specific targeted medical advice. That's illegal. I'm not an MD. What I can tell you is the traditional uses and what Western science has found for the medicinal plants. If it sounds like I'm giving you medical advice, that's just a misunderstanding on your part. Please don't get me in jail. Okay. I'm going to assume I have permission to pull up the dandelion. Okay, first we have a dandelion, and we have a dandelion at the perfect time for eating. But also amongst the dandelion we have chickweed, which is also awesome. And next to it we have clover. And next to that we have Carolina geranium. And next to that we have a bunch of others. Ooh, wow. Okay. Pull this plant out for later. Okay, so keep that one for later. Keep that one for later. Keep that one for later. Okay, so let's talk about dandelions. Dandelions are considered to be superfoods because they have vitamins, minerals, and even a bit of protein. It's fairly rare for a plant to have protein outside of nuts, but the leaves of the dandelion have more protein than the spinach. Okay, dandelions, they're bitter green. So the leaves we want to treat the 4 different ways. Don't boil actually. The 3 different ways. The 1 different way, bacon grease. Hit this thing with bacon grease, and you will thank me forever. Now I mentioned this is the best time to get it. The reason being it has not put out flowers yet. So now you get to learn about plant biology and things like that. A lot of weeds like dandelions and a lot of others, their reproductive strategy is what I call the sacrificial brother-sister effect. What they do is they produce hundreds of seeds and they go out and the seeds land somewhere and some of the seeds grow, some of them don't. You know, the whole Bible thing, falls on rocky ground, falls on fertile ground. So they start producing lots of little babies. Most of those don't make it to adult. Something comes along, a rabbit, a deer, me, something comes along and eats it. And so only a few actually reach maturity. At that point, it pulls out a stalk, pulls out the flower. Pretty much as soon as that flower is open, it gets pollinated. And that's the purpose of flowers, to collect the pollen floating around, and it gets pollinated. At that point, think of it, it's pregnant. And so it switches over to mama bear mode. So at that point, it no longer wants to be eaten. So before, it had all these brothers and sisters around, and basically the goal was that one gets eaten so that I may survive. My brother hates the term sacrificial brothers and sisters, but that's what I'm going to use anyway. So you get eaten so I can get maturity. So it's gone maturity, it's opened the flower. At that point it goes, no way in hell are you going to eat me. And so it starts producing a whole bunch of bitter compounds. So the concentration of bitter compounds triples like as soon as that flower opens, because it's protecting itself. At that point, if something comes along and starts nibbling, it's goes, yeah, that's not good, and goes off. Me personally, because I like bitter things, I still eat them after the flower appears. You screwed up. It may be more chocolate. But other people, depending, especially if you treat it those 4 ways, those 3 ways, don't boil it. Those 3 ways, it's still pretty good. The absolute best part of the dandelion is right where the leaves enter the taproot. It's hard to see. I'll pass, just start passing around. You'll see right at that base, it's kind of white and blanched. If you wash the root and cut just that little section off and treat that like an artichoke heart, and pretty much anything you do with an artichoke heart, do it with that, or just fry it up in some bacon grease, and it has just a fantastic flavor. Really, really, really good. The root, let's talk about the root. Medicinally, the root is a diuretic, so it makes you go pee. In fact, the French name for this plant, translated roughly, is the pee in the bed plant. So, I mean, it's a very potent diuretic, but it helps flush out the kidneys, helps flush out the blood. So it's considered to be a detoxifier. And basically, it just makes you go pee. Now, you can make a tea out of it, and it's really good that way. Or you can make coffee out of it. Now, when I say you make coffee out of a plant, what I'm talking about is you're making a brown, hot, bitter fluid. Not necessarily tastes like coffee. There's no caffeine in this. But I'll tell you right now, the dandelion coffee, it's awesome. How many of you have had chicory coffee, like over in New Orleans? Kind of harsh, kind of, what the hell am I drinking this for, sort of thing. Okay, the dandelion coffee is not harsh like that. It's smooth. Okay. Back in college, when you could afford the cheap whiskey, that's the chicory. When you had a job and you could finally buy the Crown Royal or the Maker's Mark or something like that, that's the Dandelion coffee. It's much smoother. It's really, really good. Something I drink for pleasure. Growing up, just as one of the ways of stretching our supplies, we'd take the coffee and mix it with the dandelion root. So to do that, you take the root and cut it, well, you peel the outside and then cut it into like coffee bean sized pieces. Lay it out on a cookie sheet, oven at 400, put it in the oven, 5-6 minutes, depending on how dark a roast you like. If you like a dark roast it darker. If you like the lighter roast, don't leave it in there so long. But after you've roasted it, take it out and then just store it, and then just, now you can put it in the coffee grinder, grind it up and make your coffee out of it. Really, really, really good flavor. Especially if you get it before the flowers appear, but in my case, again, I don't care either way. I'm the guy that, if it's black and the spoon stays upright, no sugar, no nothing in it, that's my coffee, and lots of it. But the dandelion, that's good stuff.
So it's like a